Welcome back to another NHL 23 video. The game has been out for almost a week now, so I think it's fair to give an NHL 23 full review. So I have a couple things I want to talk about, some cool features that they added, some issues with the game, and some wish list items that I hope that they add eventually. So we'll start with the positive first. Let's start with the cool features, and the first thing is the franchise mode. So if you create a new franchise mode, you can now do the authentic version where you just play with all 31 teams in the NHL, or sorry, 32 teams in the NHL. You can do an expansion draft where you bring in your own team and make a 33rd roster, or you can do this new feature called Custom League. So you can create your own league structure and play throughout your franchise career. So it's a really new, cool idea that NHL 23 has implemented. So for example, we can bring it down to, we only want 16 teams in the league, or you can bring it all the way up to I want 48 teams in the league. So you can create the league however you want. You can have multiple conferences or no conferences. You can add more divisions. You can turn the salary cap on, turn salary cap inflation off, all of these different things. You can have different salary cap minimums, maxes, player salaries, rookie salaries. You can change the NHL schedule to have, I don't know, maybe you don't like 82 games. You're like, I just want to have 30 games. You can do that. You can change the divisional games. You can change absolutely everything. And then moving into the standing format, you can change how much points or how many points you get per win, per loss, per shootout, blah, 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 right? Next up, you can do the qualifiers. So anything that you want here for tiebreakers, like it's very customizable, which is really cool. You can customize the playoff format, and you can do that all with the AHL as well. So just to continue here, if we were to go like this, you can create it and say, hi, that's your new franchise mode. And then there is now 48 teams. You can substitute any team you want with Liga teams, DEL teams, ELH, National League, Ice Hockey League, Alumni, all time. If you have a custom team, you can add it here. So that's the first positive and brand new feature that is really cool in NHL 23. Another cool feature that they added into NHL 23 that I really like a lot is if you go to offline double IHF tournaments, and you can now do a World Junior Championship and a Women's World Hockey Championship tournament. So let's kind of just go through the World Juniors one. This is one I've been waiting for a while. I know you can do it through roster sharing and things like that and kind of doing it your own custom way. But these are the rosters with the game just coming out. So the highest overall, Sweden and Team Canada, USA third. So if we were just to run through with Team Canada here, we'll get this started and we'll just do a quick simulation of the entire tournament. And this will have all of the prospects in the World Junior Championships. So if you take a look at the roster, if we can see it here, edit lines, and kind of just look at Canada really quickly here. So Othman, we don't care with that. Connor Bedard, Forrester, Kent Johnson, Mason McTavish. Realistically, this is the line of how it was in the playoffs there. Ridley Gregg, let's get him up there as a senator. You want him playing. But something like this, defensemen, don't really care about changing anything else. But I'll simulate the tournament. I've never simulated, so let's see who wins it, right? I got money. It's going to be Team Canada. So we'll do a quick simulation here. Canada versus Latvia. Oh, injuries are on. We lost our first game to the Czech Republic. Continue. Sweden in game one. We take down Sweden. Switzerland. We lose to Switzerland. And the tournament champions are Czech Republic, is that? Wow. I was not anticipating that, but Brendan Othman leads the scoring there. But that's another cool feature within NHL 23 is the addition of World Juniors and women's championships. The next one is within Hockey Ultimate Team, and honestly, anywhere within the game, they got their own teams. It's the addition of female hockey players within NHL 23. This is a long time overdue thing, and obviously it was going to happen with Sarah Nurse being on the cover with Trevor Zegras, but it just gives more exposure to women's hockey, and to have people learn the names, learn the athletes that are on each of these teams, and really take a deep dive into women's hockey. So I think it's a really cool thing that NHL did, and I think it'll go a long way in promoting women's hockey. Next up is the new Stanley Cup Celebration. They finally updated some features, but watch it here and I'll show you exactly what part I mean. And of course, that made the Ottawa Senators win the Stanley Cup. I mean, that's a given, right?
The most cherished prize in sports has arrived. I always like seeing who's going to get to put the cup over their head first. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Here comes Cap to collect the cup. And for the very first time, you can only imagine the emotion coursing through him. He'll have the cup just like in his dreams.
And this is the part I'm talking to. You can choose who to give the Stanley Cup to next. Claude Giroux, Josh Norris, Shane Pinto, Thomas Chabot, DeBrincat. I guess I didn't go quick enough, but you can choose 3 people, and that's a cool new celebration in NHL 23. It gives you some customized options, so if you want to see a certain player win the Stanley Cup or hold the Stanley Cup, you can definitely do that in the new version, which is very cool. I do like that.
And the offense has to be predictable and consistent. He's a big part of it. Co-leader and a Stanley Cup champion.
This team does not win the Stanley Cup without his playmaking abilities here, Ray. He was unbelievable.
Well, you don't score if somebody's not setting the table. Tied for the team lead in assists. When they needed a big goal, he seemed to be on the delivering end of the passes that created the play. And now, a Stanley Cup champion. Oh, look at this moment here, Ray. He's finally done it. I think every hockey fan is happy for him here. I'm sure there were many times where he started to wonder, could this ever happen? Or is the sand going to run out before I get a chance? Look at how happy he is.
Is this where you get jealous in these celebrations here?
No, I was jealous before when the cup came out. I am again now.
Although they clean up the confetti pretty damn quick, don't they? It also shows the roster engraved on the Stanley Cup, which is another cool feature. The last thing I want to highlight is the game changes they made with the last chance pass, which you just saw on the right side of your screen. The last chance shot, when you're getting hit off the puck, you can shoot well diving. The Zegras flip, they just added some cool things to have highlight reel plays, which makes the game a little bit more fun. Because at the end of the day, NHL 23 is a video game. Again, you just saw another one there where you're about to fall, but you shoot and score. So NHL 23, it's a video game. It's not real life. It's meant to have some of these cool highlight reel goals that you'll never really see, but it's one of the final things I want to touch base. And there it is again, a beautiful pass. So those are some of the best features, in my opinion, that have been added to NHL 23. And now I'm going to get into some of the things that I don't like and the issues I find with the game. The first and major issue I have with NHL 23 is the fact that stick lifting is broken. If you stick lift someone, no matter how close, how far away you are, even if you're in perfect position, you get a penalty for slashing or high sticking every single time. So it's one patch that I'm sure it's going to be changed shortly, but it's one of the most annoying things in the game. You cannot stick lift. So if you're playing NHL 23 right now, make sure if you're on PlayStation, you don't click X. If you're on Xbox, you don't click A. Do not stick lift or you're automatically taking a penalty. And you know in EASHL, a penalty is an automatic goal essentially with a penalty shot. Speaking of EASHL, that brings me to my next point, which is the goaltenders in EASHL are horrendous. In actual Hockey Ultimate Team, they're pretty good. They make some highlight reel saves and they've kind of stopped the one-timer glitch and certain glitches that were in the game. But in EASHL, for some reason, they're still horrendous. So hopefully they can update that, because I'd rather have a 2-1 game rather than 7 shots, 6 goals on those 7 shots. So that's one thing I hope that they end up fixing, is the goaltending in EASHL. It's just terrible right now, and it drives me insane, as it drives probably everyone insane. Next problem I have with NHL 23, just kind of staying on like a loading screen like this, the loading screen and the look and the UI is exactly the same as the last 5 to 6 NHLs. There's no changes. The only change is this video on the right. So instead of having photos of plays that McDavid made, now we have Zegras' flips and things like that. But all of the loading screens are the exact same. When you're loading into a game, it's the exact same what it was last year. So it'd be cool to see some new loading screens, just because what's the point of looking at the exact same thing 4 years in a row? So if we can get new loading screens or maybe a UI, and by UI I mean user interface, so kind of the main menu screen, it's been the exact same for a couple of years. So it'd be nice to see them kind of customize that and have a different look to it, especially like Hockey Ultimate Team's the exact same. World of Shell, if you log in here, see this screen exactly the same. That's how they always were in NHL 22 and NHL 21. So hopefully you can get that going. I guess I'm not logged in right now, so I can't log in, but it's the exact same screen. The next issue I have with NHL 23 is the laziness behind the Be a Pro mode. This intro is literally the exact same intro from NHL 21 and NHL 22. I think they could have made it a little bit more customized or do something else. Like, you don't have to copy the exact same intro talking about how the next superstar is on the ODR playing with the kids and he has a passion for the game, don't get injured, blah, blah, blah. Then they say, let me tell you more about the player, and then you fill out your roster card. But to me, this was a complete miss. They need to customize this every year. What's the point of playing Be a Pro if the storyline is the exact same every single year? Let's get Benji Plower out there. What a name, by the way. But Be a Pro intro and reporters, honestly, they need to revamp that and figure out a better way of doing it. The next point I have is just the game is the exact same as NHL 22 outside of those last chance motions where you can jump at it, or the Zegras flip where you can really do the moves there. But at the end of the day, the gameplay feels the exact same, which to an extent I'm not surprised, because at the end of the day it is NHL, right? There's only so much you can do, but it just feels the exact same, and it looks like the same game. If you put this beside NHL 22 and NHL 23, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the game unless you're doing something like the Zegras flip. And can we get the Zegras flip? Forehand, L1, R3, R1, circle. Well, someone was there. Boom. But the game, yeah, that's the hard part with it, is just it looks identical to NHL 23, so how do you justify buying this game over just continually playing NHL 22? And the only reason I buy the game is so I can make the content on it personally, and everyone else is buying it, so there's going to be more lobbies. That's kind of the cool thing there. So that's what I would say would need to be done, and just kind of making the gameplay a little bit different, the skating maybe a little bit different, change some X factors. The X factors are all the exact same. The stick handling's the exact same. The only thing, again, is that last chance puck motions and then the Zegras flip. But everything else other than that is pretty identical within the game. The next thing are the rosters, and I just find there's a lot of weird ratings, weird X factors. Like, for example, Ottawa. Let's just go to Ottawa, for example. They don't have Jake Sanderson on their team. For Tim Stützle, you would think is some sort of superstar at the minimum with an X factor. And there's a lot of young players like Stützle who don't have any X factors or any superstar abilities. And there's players that you're like, they probably should not have an X factor addition. They should probably not have an X Factor trait or a superstar trait. So it's just looking at those and kind of seeing who really deserves them. Like, is Jarrett McCann really that much of a game changer over Tim Stützle? Same with Yanni Gourde. And there's so many other prospects and younger players like Matty Berner is there who you could probably have at a superstar X Factor or places like that. Same with Edmonton. I know Edmonton's has some weird ones where Ryan Nugent-Hopkins drops an overall after a career year. Zach Hyman, career year, drops an overall. Evander Kane, career year, drops an overall. So it's kind of like the rosters and overalls, it's always going to be a hearsay, but the good part with this is there is roster sharing, so there will be versions that are best suited to who's ever playing, but it's just one of those weird things where I'm not sure they really thought about the X factors and all that, and McDavid should be a 99, but I'm just kidding. But yeah, you're never really going to get that 100%, but out of all of the game I've played so far, like, there's no glaring issues, right? Like, every player is going to have different issues. For me, the biggest one is those stick lifts, and the gameplay feels the exact same. Like NHL 22 and NHL 23, outside of a couple of game mechanics, feel the exact same. They look the exact same. So it's kind of looking at it, you're like, if I don't play often, what's the point of buying NHL 23? And that's a very fair question. And if you don't play often, I honestly don't even know if I'd recommend NHL 23. Moving on to just a quick wish list of what I hope is to come in potentially this NHL or future NHLs. And I just have three main things here. Online GM mode. People have been asking for it forever. It would just be really fun to play with your friends in a GM franchise mode. Sort of like GM Connected back in the day. I know that's been one that people love and want to bring back, and I think it would just bring a whole new dynamic to NHL, and you could play with other creators, play with your friends, play with whoever, right? So it would make a fun time to have that all set up. Next up, I have the addition to NHL on PC. They're now on a PC game engine, and there's no time like now. Let's get the PC audience involved in NHL and really grow this game to the next level. And PC players would love to do that. I know a bunch of people that have a PC that are waiting for NHL to drop. It's on the same engine. PC, come on, let's get it going. Madden's an EA Sports game. It's on PC as well, so it can definitely be done. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges with that, but it's something that can really expose the game to another level and increase the matchmaking, increase everything, the visibility of the game, and more people wanting to play it. And then my final one that I'm going to touch base on here in my wish list is cross-platform. I feel like you should have PlayStation 5 and Xbox should be able to play with each other. Right now in NHL 23, they can actually play against each other. You can play an Xbox player, but you can't invite an Xbox player to play with you. And I don't really know what the difference is, so I'm kind of confused on that. But one day, hopefully, Xbox players and PlayStation players can come together, play together. If you have a friend on Xbox, if you have a friend on PlayStation, you can invite them to your World of Chell team, play a couple of games, and have a universal chat some way, somehow. I know it's got to be possible. Just like every big game, you can do cross-platform. Call of Duty, Overwatch, all these games, right? Battlefield, you got these cross-platform games, and I think that would be the next step, and hoping that you can really evolve the game and have matchmaking so much faster and just a better time overall. And I've probably missed 1,000 things about the game, but these are just like, when I was thinking about what are cool features, these are the first ones that popped up. What are issues that make me hate the game sometimes? Those are the things that popped up. And then wish list things that I just really want to see happen in the future for NHL to grow the game. It's all about growing the game. You want more people in the game to have more fun, have more competition. But this is all what I came up with. Let me know what your favorite feature is in NHL 23 down below. Let me know what you hate the most about NHL 23, and let me know what your wish list is. But at the end of the day, if you're buying the game, I recommend it just because there's more people playing this game. I want to play against you. It's just a fun time. And obviously the new game's always going to have more players. In NHL 22, probably no one's playing right now, right? But if you don't play too often, you just play with your friends on the couch, or you just do franchise mode, to be honest, it's not worth the $90. It's the exact same game as NHL 22, so do what you do with that. Do what you will with that information. But thank you for watching. That is my NHL 23 review. I hope you're having a fun time playing NHL. So far, I've had a fun time, but you never know. Let's keep it going, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Cheers.